just two bros who sometimes turn into vegetables and get it on, you know? This is just a classic tale. Pounded by Produce. I can't say it with a straight face. Pounded by Produce. By G.M. Ferry. Yeah. I don't know how to explain this book. I haven't started it. Hey, baby. Pounded by Produce is the next in the Rose Reads Weird Smut universe. Prerequisites beforehand. There is a playlist. It will be up above in the cards. It's a thing. Also, if you want to know what books I'm doing for this early, or you want to be like, hey, try this one. Generally, the Twitch community who makes this happen, okay? That's also linked below, blah, blah, blah. This happened because of the Twitch community. I think there's only one other, which is the potato. I don't know why it's the food ones. That, I guess, kind of forked is also... I was gonna do forked anyways. But the whole forked universe went crazy because of the Twitch community. But this one, particularly, was a Twitch community. Because... a few of them went, hey Rose, you should read this one, and I wasn't going to, because this is also Veggietale retelling. And one, I was never a Veggietale kid, which is surprising, based off of my religious upbringing. And then two, I have read a book by the author before, which was Shrek Smut, and I didn't like it. So the parts I liked was the parodies of the Shrek stuff, and then everything that was just like her own making, I did not like. Which is gonna make this interesting, because I've watched maybe like one grand total episode of Veggietales in the waiting room of my dentist as a kid, okay? Like, it's not my thing. You can see her, you can see her head. She's waiting for me to take her out. I want to read out on the text, so she's waiting for me. I don't know where I left off, because my sister and her boyfriend decided to call me. Partially through the intro, of course, as soon as I hit record. I think I was talking about how the Twitch community, they kept on saying me, things about this book. Because, and hear me out, I've ruined everyone's algorithm. It is my greatest skill set, right? So I love that for me. Anyways, I did go through this morning and figure out which one, was sent to me, to be like, hey, you should read this, that made me want to pick it up, actually, which is, this one. I'm gonna have it up on screen. Shout out to Sarah for this. I did not realize, I remember somebody sent it to me, I did not realize it was Sarah, which is so funny for so many reasons, so shout out for Sarah. I know she listens to these, I know she watches these, right? So, thanks, you're the whole reason this video is happening. Yeah. Now, you may be like, why did you finally decide to read it? Well, one, it's Pride Month. Hence my nails. And so this one's gay. This one's gay. I did look at the synopsis before I hit record. And from what I gathered, it's about two guys just being bros. I mean, you could tell from the promotion video that the author put up on her Instagram, and I assume TikTok as well. That they're both priests. But before they were priests, it's insinuated in like one sentence in the synopsis that they've crossed the boundaries of friendship before. Bros just be kissing sometimes, I guess. But then they both become priests. And then, there's a woman who is a chef of some kind. They somehow turn into a cucumber and a tomato. Hence the cover, hence why I'm wearing green. It was a whole ordeal picking out this outfit, because I don't own much green. Anyways, so then, she goes, but instead of cooking with them, she gets herself off with them, I think. And that very forked-esque turns them back into human, and so they're turning human and vegetable back and forth, and it's kind of a throuple thing, but also I assume the basis of it is going to be a lot about their friendship, but also, the fact that they're priests. They're priests. Do I need to remind everybody they're priests? This is why I picked it up, because this is why G.M. Ferry's marketing worked on me because I don't want to say too much about myself, but I mentioned my religious upbringing, and I have a set of nails that is the bi flag. It's pastel instead of vibrant because that's what I had, but I am queer with a religious upbringing. Obviously, I have some religious trauma, and then I remember the good old days when the hot priest in Fleabag happened, and clips and edits and whatnot were put up on the internet everywhere. And I remember that. And something in my brain, I'm trying not to get too far with this about myself, but something in my brain went, hell yeah. And so then when I watched that video, and it was two priests that were friends, I went, oh, I need to read that. And Pride Month is the perfect time. Also, I'd like everybody to know this is my first book of Pride Month. I am reading this for my first book of Pride Month. That's so funny to me. Anyways, yeah. That is essentially what this book is. That's essentially why I picked it up. Thank you for Sarah for sending me that very particular video so that I would read this book. Thank you to GM Fairy for making that very particular video that marketed directly towards me. Thank you so much. I'm gonna be really upset because it's Veggietales, and then also they're priests, if they don't go into the religious trauma aspect or any of the religious stuff, right? And that's that. That's all I have to say for this intro. I'm gonna go read this book now. This is one of the longer ones. I feel like I have to mention this first before I go to read it. This is one of the longer ones. I did pick it up. It's like 190 pages on my Kindle. Generally, these are somewhere between 50 and 100 pages. I've read one that was like 112, and that was like the longest until now. So I don't know what about it needs to be 190 pages, because, and hear me out, the funniest ones, actually, I think the Minotaur may have been longer. Don't quote me on that. But like the funniest ones are the ones that are like really short and straight to the point and just drop lore and world building and just move on because there's no time. And those are really fun and funny. The ones that are longer, like the Minotaur Smut, where you have so much happening, but also because it's longer, it's given more time to breathe, and so then it's just like less fun, if that makes sense. And so I'm worried that's gonna happen with this one as well. Anyways, I'm gonna go read it. The dog wants to go outside in the sun, and that's where I plan to read it. I don't know. This one I may do every quarter updates, because it is so long. That's like 50-ish pages. Every update. It depends how far I get, how fast it is to read, all that fun stuff, good times, fun times. Because I will be reading outside, I will not be time-lapsing it. So there's all that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go read with the puppy. Mostly because it's actually like nice outside. It's so cold in the house, but it's very nice outside, so I want to go out in it. Goodbye. I'll update you when I'm a section through this book. I don't know how far. I assume I'm gonna be having a wilded time. Hello, I'm being a proper gay. I made iced coffee. I do have to stir it up a bunch. Also, did take out the earrings and take off the ring because I'm about to go do stuff in the kitchen. Which is why I'm updating you now. Even though I'm only 20% of the way through. Because, surprisingly, the audiobook is on Hoopla. So I can listen to that as I'm doing stuff around the kitchen. I need to, my poor sourdough starter, I have not been feeding it properly, so I gotta reliven that and a bunch of other prep cook stuff. So that when days where I feel like shit, I can just take everything that's already prepped and throw it together in a pan, and I'm good. So, and this is like a longer book. We talked about this. This is a longer book. I'm 20% in, and all it's been is set up. Like, literally, the curse just happened, right? And so I'm like, this is a good time to update you before things start getting crazy, so I can give you the lore. Because this is the part where I actually have to pay attention, because it's the lore, right? So there's Robert, who is the tomato, and Laurent, I think that's his name, who is the cucumber. I almost said pickle. Oh my god. And her name is Emily. The first chapter, we learned so much about Emily. One, we learned that I love Uncle Gary. I'll explain why in a minute. She has just gotten out of a 5-year relationship that was abusive. It is heavily hinted at that her mother was in an abusive relationship. Don't know if it was her bio father or stepfather. But like, cycles of abuse, blah, 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 witnessed it, now lived it, but she got out, right? Part of the reason she got out is because of Uncle Gary. I loved Uncle Gary, where one day she was shopping at the grocery store alone, he sees her, and he's all like, hey, I got a trailer, that's empty, you can live in it at 80 point. 80 point. She's like, hot take, come help me get my shit out, and I will move there right now, right? And then, they show up at the place that she's living with her ex, right? And he's there, and Uncle Gary beats his ass. Uncle Gary beats his ass and goes, if you even try to contact her again, I know great ways to hide a body. I love Uncle Gary. Uncle Gary is the best character in this book, which is so funny because I'm not the... I get why Emily's character is here, right? But, like, I get the point, her point in the story, but I'm not the biggest fan of it in general. I will get to that. Essentially, because she has had to restart her life, part of the relationship and the control she was in, during those 5 years, she couldn't work. So she just has a giant gap in her resume, and she doesn't want to like mooch off of her uncle for very long. Also, she's like no money and no food, and she's like, I need anything. And so she's looking through the newspaper for job listings, and there's one that her eye can't just magically seems to gravitate towards, which is the personal chef at a parish. She calls up the number. It's a Catholic church, in which Robert and Laurent are the two priests for, right? She immediately gets a job. Apparently the old cook, he got up and just left one day to go after a girl he met online. And so they've been without a cook for a little bit, and Robert's been doing most of the cooking, but he's not that good of a cook. From what we... So that's her background. What we get from... I think there's been 2 Robert chapters, 1 or 2. And the one that I just finished was a Laurent chapter, so I know some of each of their backgrounds. Robert, aka Mr. Tomato, is... he also had a very tumultuous upbringing. The words he used remind me of a lot of the words that she used in hers, so they are very similar in this way. He's the dark-haired one, he's the brooding one, right? Very muscly. I am, in my head, picturing him, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays the priest in the third Knives Out movie, which, iconic. Also, another hot priest. Iconic. Anyways... So we learned that he had a tumultuous childhood, blah, 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 and the Catholic Church helped him, and so he went to seminary school, which is where he met Laurent. They were roommates at seminary school, and the way he words it, that, like, they're just friends, they're just bros, who sometimes, are very touchy-feely. But that's just bros. They're just bros. They're just bros. And then, like, 2 pages later, we learn that they definitely have done stuff together, okay? They're like, I don't know how to put this into words that YouTube would be okay with. They take care of themselves while watching each other. Mutual together gratification at the same time, but in their own beds as roommates, okay? And they were roommates, and they were roommates, okay? Now, Laurent, what we have to know about him, also, like, he's another, I have so much I need to say about their dynamic, because, hear me out, that's the part I'm eating up. It's so good. It's giving, listen, I have clocked, this has officially, secured the idea I've had that I don't like friends and lovers unless if it's gay, unless if it's queer, and if it's 2 men, for sure. Their dynamic is very much reminding me of I think my favorite gay contemporary romance. Gays and 2 men, gay contemporary romance. So I'm loving it. I'm eating it up. Okay, Laurent comes from a very rich, affluent family, right? And he was just like doing rich boy things, but he wasn't feeling satisfied in life or with women. That's the thing with both of them. We will talk about it in a bit. And he has like an uncle who was a priest, and his family were really proud of his uncle, and were like always talked him up because like, oh my god, you gave all this up away to be a priest and all this stuff. So he decided to go to seminary school, with the understanding that he could just like stop at any point. Like, unlike Robert, who like this was like his main career path that he could go for and made sense for him. For Laurent, it was very much of a like, this could just be my thing for this year, right? Except they then become roommates. They're chosen as roommates, and he very quickly has a thing for Robert. Now, in Laurent's POV, we clocked that Robert has a thing for Laurent, but like he's hiding it from himself. Laurent has a thing for Robert. He knows about it. He's all like, yeah, I'm down bad. Now here's the other thing. He also immediately has an attraction for Emily, who's I think I said her name, the female main character, right? Here's the issue I have about this dynamic, which is, I get it's setting it up. I mentioned they've been cursed. They just did a sermon. This random old lady who they've never met before comes up to them and says that it's the night of the harvest moon, and they have to change in order to understand themselves and each other. And also the night before, Emily had a sex dream where with the two of them, and Laurent had a cucumber friggin' dangling. That is a thing in this book. So they've just been cursed, essentially. This is what's gonna happen, right? It is insinuated in the first chapter. Laurent, actually the second chapter, I think. Yeah, Laurent does like a fake prayer about produce and whatnot, and it's heavily insinuated that also may have something to do with it. So, you know, yay, fun times. But also the witch also insinuates that Emily has something to do with it, and she's here to help them through this, right? And so the whole dynamic, pretty obvious before this anyways, is supposed to be they both have feelings for each other, but they can't admit it to themselves for one of them, and to each other. So Emily's brought in as a third person to be like, hey, use me to live out your fantasies with each other type situation, and recognize your feelings for each other and your passion for each other and all this stuff, right? That is what's happening. Now here's the thing. Yes, Laurent was immediately attracted to Emily. That is a thing. And Emily's definitely into both of them. But here's the thing. In both their POVs, we learn that they've definitely had their times with ladies in the past before becoming priests. But neither one of them were satisfied with it and felt like something was missing. That doesn't sound like somebody who would be down to sleep with a woman. Or at least would be fully satisfied. Like, I get the point of her being here, but also the way that their own dynamics are written, so to make their bond even better, it's written in such a way that they don't work well together. They kind of contradict each other, right? Like, their whole thing is that, it's insinuated that maybe any guy would do it for them, but, like, it's each other. It's each other is what the other one has been missing, right? And then a woman shows up and makes them realize this, but also, Anyways, I'm gonna go listen to the audiobook. Let's hope it's good. Let's hope it's well done. Other thing I feel like I have to bring up, because I forgot to bring it up, which is, because of copyright, I assume the subtitle for this is a veggie love tale. Because you can't put Veggietale, so they veggie love tale. Anyways, I forgot to bring that up in the intro, and I find that very funny. I'm gonna go. I have chickpeas that I have been soaking for way longer than I'm supposed to, that I gotta go take care of. Also, I'm kind of hungry. Also, I've run out of Cajun seasoning, so I gotta make more. Again, it's annoying. I gotta do that, so that I can cook them and eat them, and try not to eat all of them at once, because last time I did that it was an issue. We don't need to talk about it. Anyways, My dog's cute. I'm gonna go read more of this book via the audiobook. Let's hope I update you before I finish it, because I have 4 hours left in the audiobook. And I did lower my speed to 3 instead of 4. Because usually when I'm reading on something of Hoopla, I have physical or ebook form, so I read along with it. But I don't have that look, I do, but I won't be actively doing it for part of it. And so like, it's this whole thing. Hopefully I don't finish it. Hopefully this doesn't take me a whole hour to do all this stuff I need to do in the kitchen. If it does, I guess I'll just take a break halfway through. I don't know. I would close the door so you don't hear the wind in the cars, but the dog's right there on the other side of the door, so I don't want to do that. It is a glass door. I'd be able to see her, but she'd get upset. Anyways, I'm 71% of the way through. Ignore all my complaints I made before about it being a throuple and how her place in it is very contradictory, because yeah, it makes more sense now. It is giving I thought this thought, and then the book brought it up. It is giving the second or third book in the, I can't remember, I not the Wicked Villains, what's the other one? The Greek retelling series by Katie Robert. I want to say Shattered Gods, but no, that's the next one that's about to come out, and that's the last book of the series. Anyways, that series, in which it is Achilles and Patroclus, whose name I still can't pronounce, and a woman. Emily in this book compares their relationship as that, and her being stuck in the middle. Is giving very similar relationship basis, and I am liking it. Did I scream in my kitchen? Did I stand there like guffaw? Did I almost pull out my phone immediately when the vegetable banging started happening? Yes. That part actually kind of wild. If you ignore, like, if you just assume they're just banging on the down low, if you just like switch it to them just like having a threesome where she's in control, it's a pretty normal book that could be written by Katie Robert very easily. Like, it's, yeah. Anyways, that's a thing that's happening. Oh, I gotta bring up this part. So when they are vegetables and doing it with her, they do squirt their seed. That's how it's worded. I can't. Anyways, sometimes I take notes, on my notes app, and then, before I go to film, I just, like, quickly glance over it, so, like, I don't forget anything. I'm usually pretty bad at it, but I try. I'm just gonna put up a screenshot and not explain. It was a joke that Robert made. Here's the thing with the audiobook. I feel like I should talk about the audiobook because I've been listening to it. Is for Robert, okay, so like it's one guy doing both voices, and I was a little worried, but I forgot that Laurent, one, I know how to pronounce it now. Two, he is American, but he was raised in France, so he has a French accent, and so reading it via audiobook is much better for that experience. And also, like, because of that they don't have the same accent, so it's easy to tell which one's which, right? Also, usually when it's a scene with both of them, and it's from one of their point of views, it's when they're vegetables. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Anyways, so that's nice. I'm not the biggest fan of when he voices Robert, but it's like, whatever. I'm having a weirdly good time. Like, this is weirdly good for creature, weird, smut, right? Like, the door one, not good. Like, I think this is what it is, okay? The smut for, like, the door one, the potato one, well, what are other ones I did? The Minotaur one, I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Oh, the squash one. A lot of these, either imagining it was like, I would imagine that'd be very uncomfortable and or kind of gross. I was not into it. This one, this is kind of normal. If you ignore the fact that he's a cucumber, apparently it's accurate to size. And so, like, if you just ignore he's a cucumber at the time, and it's the most normal out of all of them, okay? I'm just gonna say it. I think the spoon is more normal. You wanna come inside? I have a hot dog and her name is Bella. Anyways, yeah, it's like kind of out of all the weird smuts I've read, it's the one where the smut does not gross me out or make me, like, feel physically uncomfortable how it would be done. Like, trying to picture it. You know, when you read smut and you're like, how would that work? Especially the door one, I was the whole time like, what the this one, much better in that ordeal. Sadly, Zeus has not showed up. That's a running joke from the door one, where it's all Zeus's fault. I did say, when I brought up that I was doing preset turn into vegetables, I said, I wonder if Zeus will show up. I hope so. If not, I'm gonna assume it's all his fault. Like, let's be honest. Anyways, yeah. What I've said already, and then what else has happened? What has happened? Oh, there's been an on-off thing where Robert, initially, okays them being a thing when they're vegetables, because they're vegetables, they're not priests when they're doing it, they're vegetables, so it's okay. And then, he gets a little too into it, and so he's all like, also, because of all this, Laurent is not doing his duties as well, priestly duties as well, and the bishop has noticed, which is bad news bears, and so he's like, no, we gotta stop, we can't do this anymore, right? Right, it's been like 2 days, they've been like full force ahead to full stop, and then, shortly after that, she runs, well, shortly before that, Laurent's all like, you don't understand that, like, being a priest was never this big a deal for me, it was always you, and then, Robert pushes him up against a wall, there's a pine needle in my hair, pushes him up against a wall, and, admits that Laurent isn't a good priest, because he's always been his temptation, and kisses him, and then runs off, and that's when he writes the note that calls off the whole thing. And then, shortly after that, she runs into Laurent in the woods, and they do it when he's a human, right? And then, her hat ends up in a tree. I don't know where Laurent is. And, Robert sees her trying to climb a tree to get her hat, goes and gets it for her. They have a conversation where he does feel like a jerk, because he is low-key being a jerk, making decisions for everybody, right? And she explains the reason of relationship she was just in which we learned the ex, she just learned, I don't know how, because she does have a cell phone, but, like, it was already brought up that there's no service there, right? And it was described when she was looking for jobs in the newspaper, the reason why she was looking in the newspaper, because she didn't have, like, normal internet connection. Like, if you had service, you could just use that. It would be slower, but you could use that to apply for jobs online. I don't understand how she figured this out. But she figured out, or learned from somebody, that her ex has been arrested for DUI. Love that. Anyways, so he feels shitty that he's trying to control it, and then they kiss, when she tries to make him admit that his feelings for Laurent, and she's like, which one are you more jealous of, Laurent or me? And then he kisses her, forcefully, and then, this is the whole reason I decided to film now, because, you know the scene in Fleabag? The infamous scene in Fleabag, where she goes into the confessional, and, he has her kneel, in the confessional, but, they actually get off. Yeah. That's the scene I just read. So now she's been with both of them, as human forms, separately. So, and they just have to have a conversation. The issue is that when they are alone together, the three of them, after a certain amount of time, is when they turn into vegetables, they believe. So, I don't know how they're going to be able to have a conversation, but they gotta have a conversation, about what's happening here and all this jazz, and the relationship. Also, there's this whole thing where, like, her and Laurent have, like, a special connection, and she does imagine that they could have a happy life together, but, it would never work out because they both feel like they're missing something, Laurent especially, and that something is Robert. But Robert is a priest guy. He is very, like, Laurent, I already brought up, he's not here to worship God. He's here to worship Robert, okay? Robert is here to worship God, and he feels so guilty. He's got the religious guilt. Oh, so bad. So bad. But he's also the one that's dominant in the relationship, so it's very interesting the way that's playing on itself. And, you know, I was just, what just popped into my head is the religious trauma and the religious aspect of all this, and how this is also giving me a vibes of a Katie Robert, because I know Katie Robert wrote a demon smut, and that's a whole aspect in it. I want to read that one soon. Not for this. That's just for my own personal taste. Anyways, yeah. Sip my coffee. Book good. The kneeling scene. Okay, now I need one of them to box. Because that, I want to say Dead Men Tell No Tales, but I don't know if that's actually the name of the third Knives Out movie. I can't remember. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Finish this book. It should take me, like, 30 minutes. I think, because I have under 2 hours left, according to the audiobook, and I've been listening somewhere between 2.5 and 3 times speed. I did slow it down drastically to 2 times speed, which I had never do when I was, like, cooking and stuff, because something about the Robert accent, it took me more to understand, more brain power, and I was also trying to cook, right? Anyways, oh, by the way, what I was cooking was chickpea, oven roasted chickpeas. I ate them all. They're delicious. I had plenty of chickpeas. I put most of them in the fridge. I only ate a third of them, then I turned all those third into oven roasted chickpeas with Cajun seasoning. And don't worry, I was worried about that because we were out of cayenne pepper, but it turns out we actually had some hidden, unopened. I found it, so that's good. Actually really happy about that. So when I could make my Cajun seasoning again too, I got to properly make my oven roasted chickpeas, and they were delicious, and I ate them all. And yeah, that's what's happened. That's it. Oh, so I finished this. It's 4 o'clock, and I'm still got a little bit of my coffee left. Oh no. Anyways, this book is surprisingly well written. I should check if she has written any other books since the Trek one that I read, because this one is much better than the Trek one in so many ways. I highly recommend this one over that one. I'm gonna be honest. Like, read the first chapter of that one just so you can get all the Shrek references and puns, because that's really funny. And then, don't bother with the rest of it. And just read this one instead. It's a good time. Goodbye. I'm gonna go, back to reading outside so that I can come back and tell you about how, Priest being vegetable smut was good, actually. Guys, what if I rate the Veggietale smut 4 stars? I don't know what to say. This was, well, listen, I did see that she has written more books, which, hilariously, the Shrek smut, I checked, 1.5 stars, that's what I give it. Large difference here. Anyways, I am, noticing that I also went to see if she's written any more books. She's written a lot more books. I'm gonna assume practice is what happened. And I had a good time. What happened plot-wise is, Gail, who is technically, like, I think the manager or whatever, returns. She was on vacation. She returns just in time to catch, Laurent and Emily going at it as Robert watches. It was basically their attempt to seduce him into accepting, their bond as a trio. As you can imagine, they are immediately fired. I guess technically she isn't, but, like, she's all like, there's no way I can stay here. Understandable. And she's, like, thinking about life stuff in the woods, as Laurent and Robert, post getting fired, right after getting fired, like, moments after getting fired, Laurent gets Robert to admit how much he wants him, and they get each other off. There's a mosquito, I can hear it, I'm ignoring it. Meanwhile, Emily's off in the woods, and the old woman who cursed them, kind of explains the rules of when they turn to vegetables, because that time, when it was the three of them, um, and Gail walked in, they weren't vegetables, they were humans. So, like, why? And essentially, as long as one of them, at least one of them, is questioning or lying to themselves about their feelings for the other two, then they all, like, the two of them turn to vegetables and she stays human. Um, and they are destined to be together, and this is how the universe made them be together. Mostly because Robert is very stubborn. At this point, he's still stubborn enough. Like, he's like, I'm gonna go become a monk. Which is a choice, I guess. Um, anyways, they band together. The two of them are vegetables again, because, like, Robert's lying to himself. And so she's all like, hey, we're gonna have a conversation about how I'm in love with the two of you, and also, we're great together. And then they become human, admit their love. They have a fun time. And then Gail informs, the next morning, informs Emily that a few towns over, there is a vegetable farm on sale. If you're gonna go off together anyways, just so you know, this is a thing. And then the last chapter is actually an epilogue, but it's not labeled an epilogue. I love that. Honestly, I hate epilogues. I have a thing with epilogues. Anyways, in which they some more as a throuple. It was a wild time. It wasn't the wildest smut that I've read, but it was still a wild time. Their banter is cute. It's very clear that they're all equal to each other, and Laurent and Robert's bond is just, I eat that part up, honestly. That's the best part of this book, I'm gonna be honest. Anyways, and then we learn that what do they grow and sell on this vegetable farm? You may be asking, cucumbers and tomatoes. Anyways, it's heavily insinuated in this last chapter that it's not the Catholic God, because this is definitely not his style. But some kind of divine intervention happened here to make this all happen. And I'm gonna say it's Zeus. I know it was Harvest Moon. It was the wording in the book. And so it's probably not Zeus. That doesn't sound Zeus to me. If it's any of the Greek gods who beat Demeter properly. But I would say it's Zeus's fault, because that is the canonical reason in my head for all of these books. Like, if you understand about anything about Greek mythology and Zeus, and the things Zeus does or turns into to be with women, then you would understand, yeah, all this is Zeus's fault. It all started with him a long, long ago. Anyways, 4 stars. It was good. This mod was well written. The lore was well written enough. I guess the lore of, like, the lore aspect of how they are produce is mid, but the lore as in Laurent and Robert's background and past and relationship, that part, that's good. That's good soup. That's some good soup. Also, the way that the narrator, who played both Laurent and Robert, pronounced Robert's name when he was Laurent, that was a choice, sir. I don't know why you do that to me. Anyways, audiobook's good too. I recommend that. The book good. 4 stars. I don't know what else to say. Like, sometimes I try to give sometimes I try to be big smart brain lady, talking about how usually these types of books are at least partially from the woman's point of view when they're straight, right? And then in the door one, it was from the male's point of view, who was the door the whole time. This was a mix. This was a pretty even mix. I think there was more Emily chapters than the other two, but that makes sense. The chapter when they first turn into vegetables, and it's Laurent's point of view as a cucumber, and him be like, what the fuck is happening? Hilarious. That is comedy. That is comedy gold right there. It was funny. It was a good time. I love me some gay priests, apparently. I kind of knew this. I don't know what I'm saying. Apparently, I kind of knew this. I love how they put in the hot priest scene that everybody knows of in the book. Iconic, and they went further with it. Iconic, love that. Great time. I'm moving on with my life. It is the dog is dinner time in exactly 6 minutes, right? That's how long it's taking me to read this. I think I started at around noon. It's like 6 minutes before 5:30. Like, that's how long it's taking me to read this book. That being said, I did have a good time. It was a good time. I recommend, out of all the Weird Smut, I recommend the Fork one, or at least the first 3 in the Fork series, actually, and this one. I think other than the Fork, or specifically Spoon, I think hierarchy, the top 3 Weird Smuts I've read in this universe, it goes Spoon, and then this one, and then Fork. I'm not gonna explain any of this. There's so much wild lore for each one. There's a whole playlist. I recommend you watch some of them. It's a great time. Some of them are the 2 most viewed videos on this channel. I don't need to think about that ever again. That's just constantly running in the back of my mind. Anyways, I'm gonna go. End of video stuff. Thank you, Sarah, for this. The urge to text her at one point around halfway through and be like, girl, what the fuck are you, what? Thank you. But I'm keeping it a secret for until she watches this. Okay? Yeah, it's gonna be a wild surprise for her. It's gonna be a good time, honestly. So thank you, Sarah, for this. If you want to recommend books like this because of your Instagram reels, hey, I recommend you join my Twitch community because this is not always the thing we talk about, but sometimes we just randomly talk about stuff like this, and sometimes we go into me analyzing Frankenstein. True story. So Twitch is linked below, along with all my other social media, right? YouTube stuff, Wednesdays are edited down gaming streams. The next few, I'm on my Subnautica 2 streak, right? So it's just gonna be those, I think, for the whole month, based off of mentally how many I have scheduled and how many I have left to edit and how many I have left to film. I think that's gonna be all of June's. But I do a mix of cozy and also crafting survival. I do a healthy mix, okay? Other things, Saturdays are booked to videos like this one. Next week's is going to be a normal-ish video. It's not gonna be this type of thing. But secret surprise, there's 2 of these this month. Happy Pride Month. I'm making 2 separate Weird Smut videos. And that one's gonna be honestly a god among this genre. And that's Chuck Tingle. I'm gonna read my first Chuck Tingle smut. Actually, 3 of them. I'm gonna try to do 3 in one video. And so stay tuned for that, because that's coming up pretty soon, in like 2 weeks for you. I should probably start that soonish, because that's 3 books I have to read. But that's that. That's everything. Goodbye. Until the next video.